right? I don't know what I'm doing. I can tell, like people ask me all the time, what should I do? I said, I don't know. I don't know what you should do. I said, you should do what you think is right. Here are my stories. And each video I have is a little story. And they're all little chapters of this bigger story. That's my life, right? And it doesn't tell the whole story, but it tells, it's little fragments that people can pick up and say, okay, does this work for me? What I'm saying is I'm signaling, and I'm like, people whose antenna are up will receive the signal, and then they'll respond. It's kind of like how with the SETI, search for extraterrestrial life. Like people are, we're sending signals, and sometimes the signal that comes back are people who don't have good intentions, right? Sometimes it is the aliens that want to come eat us, but and sometimes it's someone who wants, they want to achieve that, that they want to ascend to a higher level of consciousness. They're curious. They want to learn, as much as they can about what's out there, because for what we know, for whatever we know, there's still like we know just a microscopic amount of what is available, right? For in reality and the physical world, the invisible realm, and I think it's it's really arrogant to pretend that we have all the answers, right? So that's the first thing you have to do is just accept, hey, I don't know. All right. I don't know what I'm doing. I can tell, like people ask me all the time, what should I do? I said, I don't know. I don't know what you should do. I said, you should do what you think is right. Here are my stories. And each video I have is a little story. And they're all little chapters of this bigger story. That's my life. Right. And it doesn't tell the whole story, but it tells, it's little fragments that people can pick up and say, okay, does this work for me? And I will tell you, it is very hard to go against the grain when you talk about the traditional medical dogma and the procedures and the standard of care, because people have been taught to believe your doctor, right? And the doctor could believe they're telling you the truth and that what they're saying is factual because that's what they've been taught. They've just never been exposed to anything else, and they're not incentivized to go out, guys like Bruce Lipton, where he found out, he looked at, how our environments shape how cells grow, right? Like fascinating stuff, right? And it led, to him to go to like this whole epigenetics and, this whole, if he had been teaching me fractals in college, I would have paid attention in my, higher math classes. As it were, I was like, fractals, how does this apply to anything?
Yeah.
One of my employees
pretty designed, but
what's that?
Pretty designs, but that's
yeah. So there is just, it's just this. My only advice to people is, look, have a positive outlook. Keep trying to expand your consciousness. Keep trying to learn. I always say I'm the world's largest guinea pig or lab rat. I'm trying different things to see how my body, how my body reacts. And some of it might work. A lot of it might work. None of it might work. I don't know. But I do know, believing that it's working sometimes is the most powerful tool you have in your arsenal.
You are the placebo, as Dr. Joe.
Yeah, Dr. Joe says. And some people, if they want to take it from a point of view of religion, the Bible talks about, the healing power all around us, right? God created the foods that you should eat to heal yourself. I guarantee you, he did not create Lucky Charms. Okay? We don't want to get into like the fact
that sad, but okay, I got you.
And I'm guilty. My kids eat some of that stuff, and I fight the battles I can every day, and I usually fight the ones in my own head first. And you have to understand, like, whether you're coming from the point of view of religion, or if you're coming from science or some other more spiritual perspective, the facts are there if you want to see them, right? And so often we move towards that which we want to, right? I do real estate as a business, and one of my favorite lines is, look, it's if people will work to consummate the deal, or they'll work to not. And I said, there's nothing you can do to convince them otherwise. You just either you move toward, they're going to move towards the outcome they want. And
yeah, I mean, it gives a different texture to the word agent. You're an agent of change for them. if they choose to make that change.
Right. We can only facilitate the transfer of data and knowledge and facts. Um, Ultimately, it's up to the individuals, like you talked about. People who don't want to receive the message, they're not going to receive the message, right? But it's amazing, like when we talk about nutrition and health and healing, how many people that I know have come out of the woodwork that I've known for years, and they're like, "What you're doing?" And like, "That is exactly what I would do in your situation. Thank you for sharing. It's given me courage. I wish so and so in my life would listen." I meet with, or talk to people almost daily who are going or know someone going through certain health challenges, and it gives me hope and gives me purpose that, because if nothing else, I want to be able to give back and help others by sharing what I'm going through, and telling people, hey, guess what? Every day is not perfect. I have really rotten days sometimes. You know what? You're going to have those. And
Well, you're keeping it real. So let me give you this key question. Well, backstory is this is a little fresh in my mind right now. A couple weeks ago, I got a phone call from California from a friend who never calls me. Usually we're like tagging on Facebook, and when I go to California, we always go for a girls' night out. Like it's like we haven't been apart, but I may go a year or two without seeing her. We're that kind of good friends. And when she called me, I was like, oh no, because we have some mutual friends, and if somebody dies, she's gonna call me. She's not gonna, right?
right.
So I saw her name on my phone. I was like, oh no. And I picked it up, and sure enough, it wasn't who I was afraid of, a really close friend of mine, but another friend of ours had passed away with breast cancer. It turns out she's had it for over 2 years. Didn't want anybody to know. Our mutual good friend that I was afraid she was calling about, my friend Henry, he knew, but he didn't tell me because she asked him not to tell me. All right. And so back in November, I was doing this research with fenbendazole and just telling people, and just putting it on Facebook. And now I'm like, I should have boosted that post. I should have made sure she saw it. I should have done more. And because Henry said she chose not to do chemo, but she probably would have tried the dog deworm medicine because she was more into natural remedies. And at the end, she just, stayed at home all to the pain. That's kind of the backdrop of my decision to really put on some turbo boosters on whatever vehicle that I have to get this message out there, because I couldn't save her. And I only found out in November, and she died in February. So, that's 3 months. It may have been too late for her anyway, but we can, let's save as many people as we can. So there's that. So my second point, that's the point I wanted to make. The question I had is, what is your suggestion? Like if I find out that a friend or a friend of a friend has cancer, and of course they choose to go through the chemo, I respect their decision, but what do you think is the best practice, right, of how to relay this information to them? It's a matter, I know I need to surrender, I need to not be controlling and all that, but how can I relay this information to them in quick, simple, non-controlling way that will hopefully be the most appealing to them and pique their interest and maybe save their lives?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's one that I struggle with a little bit too. The answer isn't simple. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If people are under a few things we were talking about earlier. One, if people aren't willing to put the antenna up and receive, right? You can broadcast everything in the world, but if you're broadcasting on 104.1 and they're on 97.1,
Right.
they're never going to get it, right? So all you can do is, there's a marketing, a way we do marketing. It's educational, right? It's a, we give people, like, I've created 150 videos on real estate, and I push those out on the internet. I don't spam my friends with it. I boost the videos, and I put them on my feed, and it's a different real estate topic, kind of like I do with my tumor tails video. Same idea. And I just put it out there, and I just keep broadcasting. Like Radio Free Europe, right? After the
Like SETI.
What's that?
Like SETI.
Yeah, you keep, and sooner or later, people will start responding, and then more people will start responding, and they'll tell their friends. But the hardest thing is that people are under enormous pressure to follow the traditional path. Enormous pressure.
Sure.
Like, and for me, I'm a pretty stubborn and vocal person, but it was hard for me. My chiropractor sent me Cole Robinson's video about Kimmy. The woman's name was Kimmy, who had the tumor that she shrunk through fasting. That sat in my text for like 10 days, until I got back from the Mayo the second time after the MRI, and they said, well, basically, you're not going to be able to talk if we operate on you. I know, by the way, if we operate on you, we're not going to get it all. And I started reading about, well, what if they don't get it all? Well, then, my odds of survival are like, 3 in 10 for 5-year survivors. And then you look at what's quality of life there, like, oh, that's really crappy. So I'll be dead in 6 years, more, 95% likely. So then I was motivated, right? Because I have, a wife and 2 kids, and I don't want my kids to be orphans. I don't want my wife to be a widow. Now, she might kill me in my sleep. I don't know if that makes her a widow or a murderer, but that's a different story. But people don't, if they don't want to tune in, you don't pressure them. You just keep broadcasting, and you do it as innocuously as possible. You do it, you don't push in their face. Because I have some people who sell, I won't name names. They sell nutritional supplements.
Gotcha.
And they really pressure me to talk about them on the YouTube channel.
Sure.
And I'm like, you know what? I will talk about them when I'm ready to talk about them.
Right.
When I'm, either it has to be, what do I talk about on my YouTube channel? I talk sometimes about how I feel. Sometimes it's about specific things. Yesterday was me eating a salad with fenbendazole sprinkled on it.
Because I couldn't bring myself to watch that. I was like, oh, I can't even.
People are always like, well, we never see anybody eating it.
First.
Yeah, well, they're like, we never see anybody eating it. Like, this is a quackery. You're not eating it. I'm like, okay, here. And I show myself, pull it out of the box, ripping it open.
Oh, the one when you were putting it in the smoothie. Like you have done videos showing actual consumption.
Yeah.
That's funny. No, I understand. Like another, like the saying goes, you're responsible. Your job is to sow the seed, but you're not responsible for the harvest.
Correct.
I keep trying to remember that, and that's I'm just keep putting it out there. But I want people to live, and I want them to be open to the signals. So I just have to surrender that and release that and let it go. And I think that's part of being a health educator. I'm a public health person, and one of my mottos is preventing the preventable, so like, why wouldn't you try this if it would, okay, so you're in remission, start it anyway, stay in remission, right? Joe Tippin says he'll take it every day or every week for the rest of his life. Like, he's never going to stop taking it. So there's that.
To what you just said there, though, you want to save people. By doing this today, you'll save somebody. Okay, if you publish this, someone's going to watch it, all right, and they're going to tell somebody. The thing is where and this is where I run into the problem is, I can't have a deity complex where I'm going to say I'm going to save you and I'm going to save that person. No, you don't get to pick, but you do get to choose how you go about your business. You get to choose how you're going to, you can save one life. I guarantee this, and that's yours. And that's my focus is, I'm like, I want to save lives. I'm going to start with mine, and I'm going to practice what I'm preaching. Yeah. And then I'm going to document it so that people can see this. And you can go back to the day before, the week before. I have all kinds of videos of me, but the day that I got my tumor, me doing on Laguna Beach at the Four Seasons. I wasn't staying there, but it's where my life changed back last April. And I did a video there. It was 10 minutes. And then I found out I had a tumor 4 hours later, 5 or 6 or 8 hours, whatever, that same day. And then the next morning, the next video I did was, well, I did the video while I'm in the hospital talking about it, what was going on. And then the next morning I did a gratitude video in Laguna Beach at the hospital saying, you know what, I'm so thankful that I have today, because so many people, life are snuffed out in an instant and they never have time to say thank you. Now, it's been a rocky road since then, you know, because then I had to evolve and understand that it's not just happening to me, it's happening to my wife. So she has to face life without a husband and kids who don't have a father, and, you know, and friends who are wondering, what the hell's Scott doing? You know, like Scott's talking about urine therapy. Scott's talking about, you know, cannabis. He's smoking pot now. Like, he stopped drinking. Like, what's going on? It's like, they don't even know this version of me. And you have to, like, but you don't get that. You got to focus on yourself in those evolutions.
So they said 3 months, and now it's 8 months later. To me, you look like the very picture of health. And I can totally see, because I'm from Southern California myself, I can totally see you in Laguna out there surfing, you know, doing your thing. And I would never look at you and think, oh, he's got some serious health issues. So there's that. I want to say that to you and be sure to get that across. But tell us about, so your journey, you say it's ups and downs. What is your clinical situation now with your oncologist? What does your chart say now?
That's a really good question.
None of my business. You don't have to answer it.
You can ask me anything. I'll answer. I don't really have a lot to hide. Really nothing about me. Certain people don't want to be talking about them, right? So I don't talk about anybody else but me. But they've been pressing for me to have another MRI, and I said I'm not doing it for a couple more months because I'm healing and I want time to heal. And so I want to focus on the healing, not focusing on this imagery that's going to tell me that I'm healing. I know I'm healing. In fact, I believe I'm healed. So that is because I'm doing the work every day. Now I've lightened up a little bit on myself. I will occasionally have some popcorn. Okay. I went through 3 months where I wouldn't like do anything. I wouldn't even drink LaCroix, and it's like I took it too far. I really did. Like, I was turning into this troll myself. And so, and I'm fortunate to have access to, the best Western medical providers, probably in the world. And, but they have a certain protocol that they follow. And I don't begrudge them for that. That's what they know. But my focus has been these continued evolutions in both physical health and well-being and awareness, but also in the mental and the psychological and the more meditative type of well-being, and trying to elevate my consciousness too. And it's been a challenge in a lot of ways, because I kind of changing my priorities in life and my associations with some people, and that gets hard because, I don't do a lot of things I used to. I'm a different person than I was a year ago, and in some ways I'm still the same guy, but, my priorities have shifted so dramatically. I don't drink alcohol anymore. So all the people I used to go at happy hour with, and the dinners that, went 4 hours, where you're eating everything in sight, it's just not, it's just different now. And I'm having to adjust to that, and that's been a challenge. I won't lie. Like the holidays, people, cracking a beer at noon and, hanging out, and I was the guy leading the charge a year ago,
That's true. And this was your first holiday season since your diagnosis. So it's not like you've done it that way before.
Yeah,
it
so
was
it's a shock.
The holidays for you.
Yeah, and I've lightened up a little bit. Like I said, I mean, if having a bite of a donut, one bite's gonna kill me, then you might as well you just shoot me. My kids are they're so happy. They go to a movie now, and I'll have a little bit of their candy, and it's just not gonna not going to freak myself out. I'm going to say, body, take care of this, right?
Just
And
one Twizzler, not the whole box.
yeah, it might have been half a bag, but they were small bags. The bags get smaller,
right?
And the price goes up, right?
Right.
So they're looking out for me in some twisted way. But like this weekend, I'm going to do a liver gallstone cleanse, like Dr. Was it Moritz or whatever, about the great liver gallbladder cleanse. I didn't know anything about the liver and how the secretion of bile is so important, in our digestive process, and having, like, some people have tens of thousands of gallstones in their liver, and how damaging that is to them physically, and how that the changes like that can lead to heart disease, and messes with cholesterol, and how your cholesterol is absorbed by your liver and taken out of your body. So it's like the LDL cholesterol, the bad stuff, right? Because that can't go through the soul. I learned that this morning sitting at Caribou Coffee.
That's interesting. I want to learn more about that.